That's what you were talking about. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant something else about her. Something else? Never mind. We didn't even get that far yet. So I don't know why that came into my head. Yuri, are you feeling all right? You laughed kind of weird for a second. Yuri's been a little fidgety ever since we started reading. You can rest if you're feeling sick or something. Your breathing is a little... My breathing? Yuri puts her hands on her chest as to feel her heartbeat. I didn't even notice. Anyway, I'm fine. I just need some water. Alright, don't push yourself. Yuri stands up and practically rushes out of the classroom. What on earth was that about? First, did something happen just now? I have no idea. Yuri's acting a little strange, I guess. So you don't know anything? Sorry, I can't say I do. Are you worried? Oh, are you worried about her? Oh, no, not really. I was just making sure that you didn't do anything to her. No, nothing. Don't worry. I believe you, silly. Yuri just does this sometimes, so it's nothing alarming. Alright, if you say so. Anyway, why don't we start with sharing our poems with each other? Shouldn't we wait for Yuri? Well, she might be a while, so I just figured we'd get started without her. Is that okay? Yeah, I was just asking. I stand up. I make a mental note of where I left off in the book, then slip it back into my bag. Okay. Let's read to Natsuki first. I told Natsuki I was interested in her poems yesterday. It's probably only fair if I shared mine with her first.
Well, it's about what I expected from someone like you.
That's a little blunt.
Well, excuse me. It's not like I said it was bad. It just didn't invoke any emotions.
So basically it's not cute enough for your tastes.
Do you want to get smacked?
I'll pass.
Sigh. Well, anyway, I guess I need to show you mine. Not that you'll like it.
I already read this before, so... Eagles can fly, monkeys can climb, crickets can leap, horses can race, owls can seek, cheetahs can run, eagles can fly, people can try, but that's about it.
Yeah. I told you that you weren't gonna like it.
I like it.
What?
Just
be honest.
I am. Why are you so convinced that I wouldn't like it?
Well, because everyone in high school thinks that writing has to be all sophisticated and stuff. So people don't even take my writing seriously.
But isn't the point of poems for people to express themselves? Your writing style wouldn't make your message any less valid.
Yes, exactly. I like when it's easy to read, but it hits you hard. Like in this poem. Seeing everyone around you do great things can be really disheartening. So I decided to write about it.
Yeah, I understand.
But the other nice thing about simple writing is that it puts more weight on the wordplay. Like I set up for a rhyme at the end, but then made it fall flat on purpose. It helps bring out the feeling in the last line.
So you did. I guess more went into it than I realized.
That's what it means to be a pro. I'm glad you learned something. Didn't expect that from the youngest one here, did you?
Yeah, I guess not. I decided to humor her with that last comment. I don't really care how old everyone is, but if Natsuki is feeling proud, then I won't take that away from her. Alright, then to Monica. Let's see what crazy bullshit she has for me to read now. Hi, Fist. Having a good time so far? No. Yeah. Good. Glad to hear it. By the way, since you're new and everything, if you ever have any suggestions for the club, like new activities or things we can do better, I'm always listening. Don't be afraid to bring things up, okay?
All right, I'll keep that in mind. Of course I'll be afraid to bring things up. I'm much better off just going with the flow until I'm more settled in.
Anyway, want to share your poem with me?
It's kind of embarrassing, but I guess I have to.
Don't worry, Fist. We're all a little embarrassed today, you know? But it's that sort of barrier that we'll all learn to get past soon.
Yeah, that's true. I hand Monica my poem.
Great job, Fist. I was going ooh in my head while reading it. It's really metaphorical. I'm not sure why, but I didn't expect you to go for something so deep. I guess I underestimated you.
It's easiest for me to keep everyone's expectations low. That way, it always counts when I put in some effort.
That's not very fair. Well, I guess it worked anyway. You know that Yuri likes this kind of writing, right? Writing that's full of imagery and symbolism. Sometimes I feel like Yuri's mind is just totally detached from reality. I don't mean that like it's a bad thing, though. But sometimes I get the impression that she's totally given up on people. She spends so much time in her own head that's probably a much more interesting place for her. But that's why she gets so happy when you treat her with a lot of kindness. I don't think she's used to being indulged like that. She must be really starved for social interaction, so don't blame her for coming on a little strongly. Oh boy. Like earlier. I think if she gets too stimulated, she ends up withdrawing and looking for alone time.
Suddenly the door opens.
Yuri!
I'm back! Did I miss anything?
Not really. Well, we all start sharing our poems with each other.
Already? I'm sorry for being late.
No need to apologize. We still have plenty of time, so I'm more glad that you took all the time you needed.
All right. Thanks, Monica. I suppose I should go get my poem now.
Anyway, do you want to read my poem now? Don't worry, I'm not very good.
You sound pretty confident for someone who claims to not be very good.
Well, that's because I have to sound confident. That doesn't mean I always feel that way, you know.
I see. Well, let's read it then. Hole in the wall. Okay. Hole in the wall. But he wasn't looking at me. Confused, I frantically glanced at my surroundings. But my burned eyes can no longer see color. Are there others in this room? Are they talking? Or are they simply poems on flat sheets of paper? The sound of frantic scrolling playing tricks on my ears. The room begins to crinkle, closing in on me. The air I breathe dissipates before it reaches my lungs. I panic. There must be a way out. It's right there. He's right there. Swallowing my fears, I brandish my pen.
So, what do you think?
It's very freeform, if that's what you call it. Sorry, I'm not really the right person to ask for feedback.
It's okay. Yeah, that kind of style has gotten pretty popular nowadays. That is, a lot of poems have been putting emphasis on the timing between words and lines. When performed out loud, it can be really powerful.
What was the inspiration behind this one?
Well, I'm not sure if I know how to put it. I guess you could say that I had some kind of epiphany recently. It's been influencing my poems a bit.
An epiphany?
Yeah, something like that. I'm kind of nervous to talk about deep stuff like that because it's kind of coming on strongly. Maybe after everyone is better friends with each other. Anyway, here's Monica's writing tip of the day. Sometimes when you're writing a poem or a story, your brain gets too fixated on a specific point. If you try so hard to make it perfect, then you'll never make any progress. Just force yourself to get something down on the paper and tidy it up later. Another way to think about it is this. If you keep your pen in the same spot for too long, you'll just get a big dark puddle of ink. So just move your hand and go with the flow. That's my advice for today. Thanks for listening. Oh boy. Nope, here we go. As Yuri reads a poem, I notice her eyes lighten. Exceptional! What was that? Question mark. Did I say that out loud? Yuri first covers her mouth, but ends up covering her whole face. Oh, he's going to hate me. You really didn't do anything wrong, Yuri. I guess you're right. What am I getting so nervous for? Yuri takes a breath. So, what kind of writing experience do you have? Your use of imagery and metaphors indicates that you've written a lot of poetry before. Really? Wow, that's a huge compliment coming from you. This is actually my first time, really. Huh? Yuri stares at me blankly, then looks at my poem again. Well, I know that. I just meant, Yuri trails off, unable to find an excuse. She traces her fingers along the words in the poem, as if breaking it down more thoroughly. Yeah. Okay. What? This is the reason I was able to tell. It's just that there are specific writing habits that are usually typical of new writers. And having been through that myself, I kind of learned to pick up on them. I think the most noticeable thing I recognize in new writers is that they try to make their style very deliberate. In other words, they tend to pick a writing style separate from the topic matter, and they form-fit the two together. The end result is both the style and the expressiveness are weakened. Once Yuri finds her Once Yuri finds her train of thought, it's as if her demeanor totally changes. Her stammering is completely gone, and she sounds like an expert. Of course, that's not something you can be blamed for. There are so many different skills and techniques that go into writing even a simple poem. Not just finding them and building them, but getting them to work together is probably the most challenging part. It might take you some time, but it all comes with practice and learning by example and trying new things. I also hope that everyone else in the club gives you valuable feedback. Natsuki can be a little bit biased, though. Biased? How? Well, never mind. I shouldn't be talking about people like that. Sorry. It's fine. I'm not sure if Yuri is apologizing to herself, to me, or to Natsuki. Do you mind if I read your poem now? Please do. I'd love to share my thought process behind it. Yuri smiles dreamily, as if that's a rare opportunity for her, which itself is kind of funny. After all, isn't this supposed to be a literature club? Ghost under the light. Blah, 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 blah. And this has been read before. ... I'm sorry I have such terrible handwriting. What? I wasn't thinking that at all. But it took you a long time to read. Well, I just don't read script very often. I actually think your handwriting is pretty. That's a relief. Also, I liked the poem. Even though it's short, it was really descriptive. It wasn't too short. I actually write longer poems. Not at all. I'm really glad you like it. I'll be honest. Since it's our first time sharing, I wanted to write something a little more mild. Something easy to... Something easy to digest, I suppose. Are you into ghosts, Yuri? Actually, the story isn't about a ghost at all, Fist. Really? I must have totally missed the point. Well, I suppose you did only glance over it after all. But remember that poets often express their own thoughts, feelings, and experiences in their work. They usually do more than tell a simple story or paint a picture. In this case, perhaps the subject of the poem is only being symbolically compared to a ghost. Lingering in her last remaining place of comfort, unable to let go of the past, and soon to be left with nothing. That's a lot more solemn, putting it that way. I hadn't even thought of that. That's impressive. Hey, it's nothing, really. Yours was impressive. Oh, Jesus. Yours was impressive too, so.
Nah, not me.
If anything, I could probably learn a thing or two from you. You think so? Yeah, of course. You know, I was really nervous about doing all this. But in the end, I enjoyed it. I'm gonna keep doing my best for you, Fist. Me too. Phew. I guess that's everyone. I glance around the room. That was a little more stressful than I anticipated. It's as if everyone is judging me for my mediocre writing abilities. What? I thought I heard the tone change a little bit. Even if they're just being nice, there's no way my poems can stand up to theirs. This is a literature club after all. I sigh. I guess that's what I ended up getting myself into. Across the room, Monica is writing something in her notebook. My eyes land on Yuri and Natsuki. They gingerly exchange sheets of paper and sharing their respective poems. As they read in tandem, I watch each of their expressions change. Natsuki's eyebrows furrow in frustration. Meanwhile, Yuri smiles sadly.
What's with this language?
Hey, did you say something?
Oh, it's nothing.
Natsuki dismissively returns the poem to the desk with one hand.
I guess you could say it's fancy.
Thanks. Yours is cute.
Cute? Did you completely miss the symbolism or something? That's clearly about the feeling of giving up. How can that be cute?
I know that. I just meant the language, I guess. I was trying to say something nice.
You mean you had to try that hard to come up with something nice to say? Thanks, but it really didn't come out nice at all.
Well, I do have a couple suggestions.
If I was looking for suggestions, I would have asked someone who actually liked it. Which people did, by the way. Monica liked it, and Fist did too. So based on that, I'll gladly give you some suggestions of my own. First of all,
excuse me. I appreciate the offer, but I've spent a long time establishing my writing style. I don't expect it to change anytime soon, unless of course, I come across something particularly inspiring, which I haven't yet.
yeah.
And Fist liked my poem too, you know. He even told me he was impressed by it. Natsuki suddenly stands up.
Oh. I didn't really.
Thanks for watching this episode. If you enjoyed this video, please click this link over here for a suggested video or playlist that's recommended for you. And if you really like my content, click this Patreon link to my Patreon over here. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.